Hi, this video is part of a Udemy course that I'm going to publish soon. I'm going to talk in this video about the differences between the geom and the geom with Mercator columns in CartoDB. The two columns can be confusing for many CartoDB users. Before we start, I'll explain what is CartoDB and PostGIS. So we have CartoDB open here. Think of CartoDB as a web mapping platform. It is built using the leaflet mapping component. So here we have the leaflet JavaScript library, and you can watch a video about leaflet in this channel. CartoDB integrates PostGIS and leaflet together. Here we have PostGIS. PostGIS is basically a spatial extension for the PostgreSQL database management system. PostGIS enables using spatial functions inside the SQL statements to run many geoprocessing operations. So now let's start looking into the sample data I have here. This is a point table for major world cities. If I go to the data view and you look into the columns, you can see that only the geom column is visible, while the geom with Mercator is hidden. If we go to the SQL window here and select the geom, the geom with Mercator, and apply, so you can see there are two different columns. If we want to see the values of the coordinates, we can use the PostGIS function st underscore as text. So if I type st underscore as text for the geom and do the same for the geom with Mercator. But here, since we are using the same function name for both columns, we should assign different aliases. So for the first one, say like G text, the second one GWM, WM for web Mercator, text. Click apply. Alright, so for the geom, see these are latitude and longitude values, while here, if you're familiar with coordinate systems, these are in meters, and these respond to the web Mercator column. Okay, let me explain it again. The geom column is implemented through PostGIS, and it is based on latitude and longitude coordinate system, which is referred to as WGS84. The geom with Mercator is added by CartoDB to display data on their mapping object. This is because CartoDB's mapping object was originally created using the leaflet mapping object, which originally uses the web Mercator to display data on the map. Also, if you read through CartoDB's documentation, they are planning to stop using the geom with Mercator sometimes in the future to avoid confusion for the users. So this was the first difference between the geom and the geom with Mercator columns in CartoDB, based on the difference between their coordinate systems. So from what I said, the geom with Mercator column is used to display your query results on the map. If I click here, clear view, let me switch to the map view, open the SQL window again. If I select star, which means all columns from world cities where country equal Egypt, for example, and I click apply query. So here are the cities filtered by Egypt. If I click clear view, and again, if I say select the geom where country equal Egypt, click apply. Okay, so you see the result is not displayed on the map because we're using the geom. So to display the query results on the map, we have to use the geom with Mercator. And one thing I forgot is that CartoDB requires that you use the CartoDB ID along with the geom with Mercator to display the data. If I click apply, you can see the results again. Alright, if we look into this SQL statement is not considered as a spatial query. It's basically a non-spatial query using only attributes. So if we want to run spatial functionality on our SQL statements using PostGIS, we have to use that geom, not the geom with Mercator column. I'm going to use the buffer function, st buffer. So this function is from PostGIS, and basically I have to pass it two parameters, the geometry and the distance for the buffer. Since the data is originally created using the geom from PostGIS in latitude and longitude, so the distance here is in degrees. We can convert it, but this is out of the scope for this video. So I'm going to use only 1 degree as a distance, and 1 degree is almost 111 kilometers. So if I click apply, I don't see the results for the buffers because the buffers should be polygons right now. And the reason because I use the geom. Again, the geom does not display the data, but it's used for the spatial queries. And I'm going to show you the trick on how to display the results of the spatial function based on the geom column on the map. But before I do that, let me export the results here. So if I click on Create Dataset from Query, CartoDB is creating a separate PostGIS table. So you can see we have polygons here. If I go to Map View, zoom out, here we have the results as a separate table. And I can rename it. So give it the name World Series Copy. And just World Series, Egypt, buffered maybe. Click Save. Okay. Now, going back to my map, I'll show you the trick on how to display the results right away without exporting the data. So here, this is the previous SQL statement. I can use another function called st-transform. This is a PostGIS function, and basically it takes two parameters. So it takes a geometry and it transform its coordinates into another coordinate system. 3, 8, 5, 7. So this is the SRID for the Web Mercator coordinate system. Then if I assign the geom Web Mercator, so here it's basically an alias. Before we click apply, we should also add the CartoDB ID. Click apply, and you can see the results here. Okay, before I end up this video, I would like to remind you that this video will be part of an upcoming course in Udemy. Please subscribe to this channel. I'll be giving coupons to the subscribers so that they can take the course for free, and the number of coupons will be limited. I hope you learned something here today. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. Also, you can find the link to the GitHub repository where I posted all the SQL statements I used in this video, along with this dataset for you to use.